Here I am with the drama again. It was to the point where I was literally at the vet just like crying. I was crying in the vet office and they were being so sweet to me, but I was just freaking out because I was like, I can't see the other side of this. I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Well, there is a light at the end of the tunnel and I'm gonna tell you everything I did. We're gonna talk about it. Hello friends, welcome to Chickenlandia. My name is Dahlia. I'm a backyard chicken educator, also known as the president of Chickenlandia. Raising chickens has been the best way for me to find peace and joy in my life, and I want to help you find that too. The very interesting thing about this whole experience is how it started. The first thing that happened is I had something stressful going on. I was really kind of feeling depressed. I'm not gonna go into it and tell you all the details. It's a long story, but I was having a hard time. So that was like the first thing that was going on. And during that, I ended up getting sick, which can happen when you are super stressed out. So I was stressed out, I was feeling upset, and it's just so weird how this happened because during this time when I was sick, all of a sudden, that's when I started noticing my chickens getting sick. And I know this is like so strange to say, but I really believe in like kind of the energy of things. And I think that what I was feeling was so strong emotionally that it actually affected my flock. I know you might think I'm crazy. I know there's people that clicked off. I don't care. This is really what I believe, that, you know, when we are very close to the people and the animals around us, our feelings can actually affect them. So the first sign that something serious was going on happened one day. I was walking out to the chicken yard and I was not feeling great, and I heard Zorro, who is the head rooster here in Chickenlandia, he was calling me, like doing that call. I don't know, it sounds like the egg song, but it's a little bit different. And he was definitely like calling me, like, come here. And when I got inside the chicken yard, I saw that Zorro was standing next to Pookie, and Pookie had passed away, and she had just passed away. I know that it just happened because her body was warm, and I think Zorro was just like shocked or surprised or whatever, and he was just standing there like, look at what happened. So what I imagine happened is that I missed her being sick. I didn't realize that she was sick because honestly, I was going through my own thing. And so sometimes that happens, and I definitely feel guilty about it. So be careful with your comments. I think it was probably maybe like a day or two after that I started noticing some respiratory symptoms in a few different chickens. And it really just kind of started with like the sneezing thing, a little bit of wheezing. And I was like, okay, what is going on? And then by probably like the third or fourth day, I had a lot of chickens that were very obviously dealing with a respiratory problem. Like some of them had swollen eyes, some of them their whole face was swollen or their lymph nodes were swollen. And I mean, I was really panicking, obviously. So I did end up needing veterinary care for my flock. I'm in a position to be able to do that. Like, this is my livelihood, so I was able to do that. I know a lot of you out there can't do that, and you just need like a protocol to follow if you are seeing respiratory disease in your flock. So I am going to tell you exactly what I did. This is a protocol that is in my book. I do have a book. It's called Let's All Keep Chickens, and this is the respiratory disease protocol. So I'm going to give it to you. One thing that is not in the protocol, because I think it's just like common sense, but it's very important, is that you need to make sure, especially during times of like stress or illness, that your chickens have the best nutrition that you can afford to give them. So that can be like really healthy kitchen scraps, mostly greens, low sugar fruits, chicken safe herbs, and then combine that with a base layer of the best quality feed that you can afford to feed. Now, I feed my chickens scratch and peck feed. This is what I have fed since I've started keeping chickens. I have a long relationship with this company. I do believe this is the best feed that is on the market. They have a pellet, they have a mash. If I could, I would be fermenting that feed. but I have a duck that doesn't deal very well with fermented feed. She gets it all over her face and up her nose and everything. She just doesn't clean her face very well because she's a special needs duck. But anyway, really good quality feed. But like I always say, the best feed that you can give your chickens is the best feed that you can afford. So just remember that that is very important. A low stress environment with really good nutrition. Okay, so here is the respiratory disease protocol that is in my book. The number one thing I want you to do is to follow the REST method. And if you don't know what the REST method is, it's another sick chicken protocol. It's very general that I talk about a lot on this channel, and it is also in my book. I'm going to give you more information about it at the end of this video, but just very quickly, basically what it is you are going to remove your sick chickens from the flock. You're going to give them some electrolytes, probiotics, and vitamins. You can make those or you can buy them. You are going to give them something that they can't resist but eat, and usually giving them scrambled eggs is a really good idea. It's very nutritionally dense and they just can't resist it. And make sure that the temperature is controlled where you are keeping them. So you don't want them when they are sick to be fighting to stay warm or to be fighting to stay cool. You want them to just be able to relax, and you want their bodies to be able to focus on getting better and not regulating their temperature. The next thing I want you to do is get a clove of garlic and mince it and either add it into some scrambled eggs, or you can, cut it in half or fourths and put it into their water, or you can put it into some other kind of treat. But what you want to do is get some garlic into them. We know that garlic has all these healing properties to it. It's true for us. It's also true for chickens. And you can also give garlic to your chickens that aren't showing signs. So that is very important. You want to support your chickens that are inside, that are visibly sick, and also support your chickens that are in the flock that are still outside, so that you will have less likelihood of the illness just running rampant through your flock. So what I usually do is I will cut up or mince up a few cloves of garlic for my whole flock, and I'll mix that into some scrambled eggs, or I'll mix it into a treat. There's a treat that I give in the fall and in the winter. I just did a video about it a few weeks ago, and that one is a really good one to mix up some extra garlic in. But you just want to get that into your chickens. Okay, the next thing I want you to do is get yourself a couple of paper towels, maybe more if you have a really big coop. But you want to take one paper towel and put some essential oils on it, some clearing essential oils. Now, before you don't at me, okay? I don't recommend putting essential oils on your chickens or in your chickens, usually with the exception of oil of oregano. Essential oils can be caustic to the skin, depending on which one it is, if they're applied undiluted. I don't feel comfortable telling people to give them to your chickens to ingest unless it's highly diluted, like in a product, or it's something like oil of oregano that you're diluting a lot in a large container of water. So anyway, oils like thyme, peppermint, eucalyptus, tea tree oil, lavender, lemon. These are oils that help to clear the sinuses. They're relatively gentle oils when they're just in the environment. You're not diffusing it in like an electric diffuser. You're just putting it on a paper towel and putting that aroma into the environment. So you can take one paper towel, put some of these gentle essential oils on it, whatever you have, and then put it near where your chickens are, the ones that are sick, that are actively sick inside. Okay, you can like put it inside their crate or put it near their crate so they can get that aroma. Then you take the other paper towel or paper towels, depending how big your coop is, you put the essential oils also on those and hang those up in the coop. Again, you're helping to like prevent the chickens that aren't sick yet from getting sick, and you're also helping to heal the chickens that are actively sick. All right, so the next thing in the protocol is to add a generous sprinkling of dried oregano and thyme to your chicken's feed, to a treat, or you can add it to scrambled eggs. So you're adding garlic, and you also want to add some dried oregano and thyme. If there's other herbs that are chicken safe, you can add those too, but I really like oregano and thyme, and people usually have those just in their cabinet. That's another thing that I add to that treat that I made a few weeks back. These are 2 herbs that have antimicrobial, antibiotic, antiviral properties that are good to give chickens to support them through illness. And honestly, they're good for chickens their whole life. If you want something that is already packaged that contains these herbs, Scratch and Peck has an herbal supplement. It's called Cluckin' Good Herbs, and you can just buy that and have it on hand. It's something you can use all the time, or you can use it whenever you feel like your chickens really need it. All right, the next thing I want you to do with your flock that is outside is add a tablespoon per gallon of apple cider vinegar to their water. So that's 1 tablespoon per gallon of water. For the ones that are really sick inside, I would probably give them electrolytes. But if you don't have electrolytes, you can give them the apple cider vinegar too. But one thing that this does that is really handy is that it can help to limit the spread of disease. And also it, again, has all these properties that we know are good for us. It's got good bacteria in it, and these are things that are going to help your chickens' immune systems when they're stressed out and there's the threat of this illness spreading through the flock. So some optional things that you can give to your chickens during this time, a product called Bach Rescue Remedy. It is a product that I use a lot. I talk about it a lot on this channel. It's a flower essence that you can just add to their water, and you can just put like a couple drops into their water every day. It really helps to kind of take the edge off. This is a stressful time. Certainly I needed some Rescue Remedy during this time. You can add the Rescue Remedy to water that has apple cider vinegar, but I wouldn't add it with garlic water because that can affect how well the remedy works. The other thing you might consider is some homeopathics during this time. Now, whenever I notice a chicken is sick, like let's say they were totally fine in the morning and then all of a sudden they're sick. Or in this case, all of a sudden I have a whole bunch of chickens that are sick and I'm like, what is going on? I would give my chickens aconite in a 30C potency during that time because aconite is great for something that just happens suddenly, whether that is like sudden fear, sudden shock, or sudden illness. And then there's a few other homeopathics I talk about in my book. One of them is Antimodium crudum. There's another one I think I don't talk about in my book called Antimodium tart in a 30C potency. I do have a blog about using homeopathics with chickens. I will leave that in the description, but one thing I will say is that when you're using homeopathics, you really have to have the right remedy, and that's why it's always best to work with a homeopath if you can. So just continuing with this whole saga that was happening in Chickenlandia, I don't even know how many, maybe 15 chickens that were actively having symptoms, and I was freaking out. So because I am able to, I had to seek veterinary care. And I showed up at the vet with a whole bunch of chickens. And I remember I walked in and I had just been like holding it together, like really holding it together. And I walked into the vet, and that's when I just lost it. I just started crying. Like, I was like, I have so many sick chickens. Like, this isn't even all the chickens that are sick, and I don't know what to do. And they were so good with me. First of all, they were like, it's okay. You know, you can cry. We understand. And we are going to get through this. That's what they told me. So I will tell you that I did use antibiotics for my chickens that were actively sick. I did not treat my entire flock with antibiotics. I did get Clovamax, which is amoxicillin, for the chickens that were showing serious symptoms. And I had so many chickens that were sick, and I really needed to keep them separate from the flock. And thank goodness that this company that I work with, Omelette, you guys know that I have an omelet cube that I use in outer Chickenlandia. I was in contact with them recently and they were like, hey, do you want us to send you the Eggloo Pro? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I had this extra cube. Thank goodness. because I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have it. So I have this amazing coop that Omelette sent me. I want to show you this coop really quick because it is so nice. It has a little bit of a different design than the cube. The nesting boxes are very handy because like you don't have to take the cover off completely. These coops are so well designed that if I had to do it all over again, I would only have these coops. Considering how long they last and how much work my big, beautiful wooden coop is, if I had the money to make the investment, this is what I would go with, especially in the city. So anyway, I just, I was so grateful for that set of circumstances where I had this coop and I could separate my sick chickens from the flock. It was such a blessing. And that with the veterinary care is really what got my chickens through this. Now, I know some of you don't have access to veterinary care, you don't have access to antibiotics, but I am going to give you some additional things that you can do if that is your circumstance. There are a few different things that I will recommend people use if they can't get access to antibiotics. And I actually did use these for the portion of my flock that wasn't sick, just as a preventative measure. I don't give antibiotics preemptively to prevent disease. That's not how antibiotics work. But there are some natural substances that have antibiotic properties that I will use preventatively. Oil of oregano is something that you can use if you cannot get your hands on some antibiotics. It is very strong, so it must be extremely diluted. I will put 1 drop per gallon of water and really make sure that it is mixed in very well. It's caustic, so you don't want a chicken to get a mouthful of oregano oil. That would be very uncomfortable for them. So that is one option. There are some products on the market, I wish there were more, but there are some products on the market that contain oregano. One of them is from, I think the company is Dervet. I am not sponsored by them. And the product is called Durastat, I think. I'll put that information for you in the description. It's an oregano supplement that you can put into their water. And I actually did use that also for a period of time. I think it's a good product to just have on hand in case of like a respiratory thing going through your flock. Another thing that you can use is colloidal silver. Now, colloidal silver is pretty expensive. I have seen people use it. They replace the chicken's water with it. That's very expensive. So I'll only do that if I have like 1 chicken or 2 chickens that I'm treating. The other thing that you can do is just look up the dosage for parrots. That's pretty easy to Google to see how much you should give your chickens, or you can just put some of it in their water. I know probably for my waterers, I would put like a cup of it in their water so that they could ingest some of it that way. But that's another product that you can get that has antibiotic properties if you can't get a hold of the actual antibiotics. I still have a few chickens that are showing some mild symptoms. Monkey has really been showing a lot of symptoms, but she pretty much came with special needs. So she sleeps inside at night and I take special care of her. But miraculously, I have not had any more deaths. And that is really something to be grateful for. I learned a lot from this experience. I really learned about how my frame of mind can affect those around me, because I do believe that. I do believe that it was kind of like an emotional thing, just some bit of energy that went through all of us that really affected how we felt and how we pecked and scratched through the world. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed for the winter. I will keep you guys updated. The rest method, if you want to learn more about that, well, guess what? I have a video all about it. Breaks it down completely for you, and it's 100% friendly backyard chickens education and entertainment, and I know you're gonna love it. And I forgot to tell you that video's on the screen right now. Just click on the link.